Hello, friends. I've just read some minutes which quote a Bible passage. They don't reference it, but it's First John chapter 4:18, which in the King James Version is perfect love casts out all fear, casteth out fear. And the newer version simply put love drives out fear. And before that, they say actually violence comes from fear and love drives out fear. Um, and I want to offer some thoughts on this as, I suppose, someone with experience of the prison system, coming across people who are violent, people who have had to deal with and been the victims of that violence and are fearful of that violence, therefore, with good reason. And obviously, part of our work in prisons is to always be aware that there are victims of some of these crimes that are still very much suffering from that, from the effects of that crime. But I want to just tell you another story before I say a bit more about this issue. Because I work in prison chaplaincy, as soon as I mention that, and it happened again just this week amongst Quakers, people will tell me their stories about who's been to prison. And I was speaking to somebody again, and this is not an uncommon occurrence, where a family member, often a young man in the family, son or a nephew, is in prison or has been or just come out. And in this particular conversation just recently, we were talking about this notion of um, love, that love will overcome people's need to be violent, to be doing things that are very damaging to society. And as I said to her, you know, you love your son very much. If love was enough, he wouldn't be where he is. And it's heartbreaking to think that, you know, there's parents who are actually thinking, well, you know, I don't know, maybe I don't love my child enough if he's ended up in prison. But love is not enough. And I'm no theologian, but I know that the way in which that Bible passage is written is to do with God's perfect love will drive out your fear of being judged by God. That being bathed in this love that compels you to do things like me talking to you here today. I might be fearful of things, but I'm not fearful of God's judgment on this. And that just gives you so much confidence and lightness as you move through the world. And it really troubles me that people are writing minutes on behalf of Quakers. These are public documents, public statements, which can be used forevermore, really, in public settings about what our discernment has been. To make such a trite statement about violence. Violence doesn't only come from fear. And love is not always enough to stop violence. And unfortunately, it concerns me that these kinds of well-meaning but inexperienced minutes and writing is spoken without a real knowledge and deep experience of violence. And I wonder whether, yet again, there's something that the broader Quaker church and movement can learn from those of us living and working in these environments. It's not just chaplains. I'm sure there's many people facing and accustomed to working with violence. And it's sad to say it, but love is not enough.